Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming along this morning. We are starting off a new year of our Adobe Skills Lab. If you didn't see any, or even if you did see some of the recordings from last year, we ran a whole series of Skills Lab webinars last year, and we've actually uploaded all of those to our YouTube page as well. So you can go back and look at last year's webinars too. So we're going to kick off a new season of Adobe Skills Lab, and we're going to be looking at all the core skills, particularly with Adobe Express, but one or two other things as well. So we've got a lot coming up. The next session is going to be about specifically about generative AI, and I think that's going to be really exciting because we've got somebody who works quite closely in industry with generative AI, and we'll be giving some examples of how that's used in industry as well. The session today, we're going to give you an introduction to Adobe Express and how you can use Adobe Express, whether you are a student or whether you are on the teaching side. So hopefully this is going to be a really interesting and useful session for you. So I'm going to kick off. I'll start off by sharing my screen. Hopefully you can all see my screen now. Do let me know if you can't see it. This is Adobe Express. Now, Adobe Express is an online application, so you don't have to install anything on your computer. You can access it via a web browser. You can also access it via an app, which is available for Android or iOS as well. So whether you've just got your phone, whether you've got a Chromebook, whether you've got a laptop, you can still access Adobe Express and all of your assets and materials within Adobe Express. First thing I'm going to do is kind of talk about generative AI features within Adobe Express. We'll then go on to give you an outline of some of the other features in Adobe Express, such as presentations and short videos as well from my colleagues Catherine and Louise. So I start off with thinking about the generative AI elements of it. I mean, I think when you begin with generative AI, it is worthwhile just thinking about some of the approaches that you want to take, and so approach Gen AI in a mindful way as well. Here's just a quick guideline to some of the ways that we work with Gen AI. So our Gen AI solution is called Adobe Firefly. Adobe Firefly is built into Adobe Express. So you're accessing all of those Adobe Firefly features within Adobe Express. There is a separate Firefly website you can go to as well if you want to. But this outlines some of our approach to it. The first thing I would say is kind of transparency. So be transparent about how you have created your content. And always, I would say, always refer to your university's guidelines as to how they want to approach AI and how you should be properly accrediting any AI that you've used. So within anything you create from Adobe Express, we have content credentials. So we're part of what's called the Content Authenticity Initiative, and content credentials attach additional information to content at export or download, and that's stored in a dedicated tamper-evident set of metadata, which is called a content credential. And this provides transparency, and that can allow you to give full credits for the work that you have created. Second approach I would say is to be critical. So think about how your images were created. When you're looking at images, when you're looking at things that you think might be Gen AI created, be critical of them and consider the content that you're looking at there. And thirdly is that ethical approach as well. So we make very clear there that Adobe Firefly is never trained on customer content at all. Absolutely, we never do that. Adobe Firefly is only trained on Adobe stock images and certain public copyright-free work. The stock images that are used, our stock contributors are financially compensated um, um, as part of that training process for that as well. So we have an ethical approach to how we use our AI. Now, with that said, I'm going to come back over to Adobe Express and we can have a look at how to actually get started with your Gen AI in Adobe Express. So when you want to start creating, there's a number of different things that you need to think about. Now, coming into Adobe Express here, just to give you a little quick tour before we begin, you'll see that you've got some kind of boxes up here which call out some of the things you might want to do. Generate with AI is right there. Come down below, and there's other things like creating social media, video, photos, documents, and print as well. But I would start with that. Now, over on the side, you can always click on home to get back to this page and back to your home page. Anything you create, you can will be saved into this section which says your stuff. So go into your stuff if you want to look at projects that you've previously been working on. Always a good idea to name your work as you go so that you can keep track of it. You can also put things into folders and organize them as well. And we've also got down here things like brands and templates, so you can have a consistent approach maybe across a department or across a university, for example. And you've got kind of help material there and add-ons from third-party companies that you can use if you choose to do that as well. But to begin, here we have generative AI. I'm going to click on our generative AI option there, and you'll see that there are a number of different options that I've got. So I've got generate image, which is a text to image where you type in what you want to see and it will create that for you. We've got remove and insert objects. That allows you to add and remove items from an image or replace them with new content simply based on a text prompt that you enter. We've got generate template. So this is a text to template option, which I'll show you. And it's one of my favorites, actually. I think it's great. So you've got remixable fonts, colors, and images that will create a whole, poster or leaflet or social media post with the text, the colors, and everything in it for you from scratch based on your prompt. And finally, there you've got the text effects, and that adds styles or textures to text, again, from your AI prompt. So let's kick off by just going into generate image. Now, what are the different things that you need to think about when you're building your prompt? Where you're putting in that text to create your generative AI image. There's a number of different things you do want to consider. So first of all, the image content or the subject. What is the thing, the main focus of what you want to create? You might also want to look at the action, the state, and the mood that you want to include in there. If it's a person, are they doing something? What is the kind of mood that you're trying to evoke? Is there a particular art style or reference that you want to look at? And then there's additional things. You might want to look at the lighting, the kind of color palette that you're using. You might want to look at the framing. So in other words, what kind of perspective is it shot from above, from below, straight on? Is it daytime? Is it evening? So these are all things that you can use to finesse your prompt. And within Firefly, within Adobe Express, which uses Firefly, this is kind of broken down for you as well. So you can go into these different elements. So for example, I could look at, effects in there, and you can use those to give you prompts as well. And this is the basis of it. You want it to be photorealistic, graphic, or artistic. If you don't want to fill in any of those, you can just type in what you want to see. Now, I'm going to start off here just by putting in a simple prompt, and I'm going to show you how I can kind of build this up to make it a little bit more complex and aiming more towards what I want to get. So if I've gone in and I've just chosen something that's fairly simple and straightforward, I'm going to type in a serene river with willow trees on the bank. pretty straightforward thing that it should be able to create. And you'll see it's beginning to look at that prompt and create that for me. It's going to give me 4 different outputs down here. And I can switch between them and I can look at the different outputs and choose which one I like the best. Probably like that first one the best. It's not really what I want to get. So I'm going to kind of make this a little bit different. I'm going to add in some information about the kind of color scheme that I want and the materials. So I want this to be kind of like a pastel. I want a kind of green and blue palette more than I have at the moment. And I also want to reference Japanese wood blocks as an art style in there. So let me just add that into the prompt and I can click generate. And it's going to generate with those additional elements in there now. So you can keep building up this prompt until you get to closer to what you want. And you can see this is the same image. But it's added in those elements for me. So I've got the color palette in there, and I've got that Japanese woodblock style as well. If I wanted to finesse that a little bit more, I could do that. So I could go into, for example, materials, and I could choose wood carving. Um, and what I found is that's giving me just a little tiny bit closer to the effect that I wanted to get to. And you can see there, it's just that little bit more stylized there. And I think that actually looks really good. So that would definitely be the one that I wanted to choose. So I could choose this, and if I wanted, I could begin working on that. If I wanted to rename it, I could do that up here, and I'll just say wood carving 1. That just makes it easier to find when I go back to search for that. Having done that, I could, if I didn't like the size of it, for example, I could go in and I could start to resize it. So I could make it a poster, for example, or I could convert it to a presentation. So I'll just resize that, and it's going to actually start to fill out that extra area for me in order to turn that into a poster. I could then add text to it. I could add other elements to it as well to just make that a little bit closer to what I wanted to have. Um, and then I can share it. So I could also share that image out, and I could collaborate on it as well. So you'll see that that has now filled that out to give me, it's given me some extra options as well. So I could simply go in there and I could start to add in some text into there as well. Go in there. That was just coming off of that for me. And I could click add my text, and I could start typing in my text there. And I could just change the font. And it's actually going to give me some recommendations for changing the font in here. So I could change it to something a little bit nicer. I can center it. I could change the color as well if I wanted to do that too. So you can start to build up some really nice effects. I'll just quickly show you how to share it. I hope you're trying along with me as we're doing this. So go into Adobe Express and do try this along, because I would love to see the work that you come up with. And if I go into here, a great way to share it is if I come in here and I say anyone with the link. So if I say choose share file, say anyone with the link. I'm going to say can edit. If I copy that link, I can actually share that. So I'm going to share this with you all now, just so that you can all go into this and you can start to mess about with it as well. Now, please do that now, but I'm going to carry on just to, and I'll come back to that page, but I'm running a little bit short of time. So I'm going to quickly show you the text to template option that you've got in there as well, because I think it's really, really good. So let me just grab this prompt here. I'm going to go back into my file here. Just going to go back to my home page here. And I can see some of you coming into the file there, so that's absolutely fantastic. Back into Generate with AI here. I'll choose Generate Template, and I'm going to pop my prompt in there. You'll see there's a drop-down menu where you can choose the type of thing that you want to create. I'm just going to put my prompt in there. I'm going to say a leaflet asking for participants in psychology research. So just the type of thing that you might be doing, as a student, or as a teacher or lecturer. You might have to create that kind of thing to get people to participate in your research. So I'm just going to pop that in there. What this is going to do is it's going to give you a remixable template. So we have our options here. And you can go for the kind of style and the kind of option that you want. So if I choose this one here, and I could go into there and I could edit any of the text in there, for example. So you can see me editing the text. I could go in and I could select an image and I could replace that image. And I could replace it with a different image, add in an email address, add in contact information, and that's me quickly created my poster. Again, you can download this. If I click download, I can download that as an image file format. Maybe a PDF is also a good option. If you do choose PDF, it will add in accessibility tags for you as well. Or I could just share out a link, and I could ask people to collaborate on that with me by just putting in their email address, or I could just copy out a link, and give people the access to collaborate on that image with me. So that is a really quick intro to GenAI. As I said, we will be having a much more in-depth session on GenAI coming up in the next session. It will be in 2 weeks' time, so please do register for that. And we're going to spend a whole hour looking at GenAI in a lot more detail. But for now, I am going to go over to my colleague Catherine, who is going to be having a look at presentations.
Great, thanks, Alistair. Okay, let me just go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully you can all see that. Do feel free to pop any questions in the chat as we go as well. Okay, so presentations. Now, I spend a lot of time creating presentations in Adobe Express. I hope some of you will have tried it out as well. If not, please do feel free to follow along. Creating a presentation in Express has made it much, much simpler for me. It's something that I used to agonize over. And now with all the templates that are available to choose from, being able to choose a template that I like and save that for future use as well, just really simplifies that process for me. So this is my Express dashboard. Now, you can access presentations in a few different ways. So you can see for me at the very top here, this is all based on your interest. So I could access presentations from here. Otherwise, I could go to the little blue plus here and just search for presentations. You can also upload your own media. So if you already had a presentation as a PDF or a PowerPoint, then you could upload that and work from that in here as well. But for today, I'm just going to go ahead and click on a presentation. Now, this has brought up a blank screen. I could go ahead and just work from that blank screen, start from scratch if that's what you'd like to do. Otherwise, you can see on the side here on the left, I've got lots of different templates to choose from. This one here is one, you can see I've got a heart on that. That's one that I've used a few times. So if you do have a couple of templates that you like the look of and would like to refer back to, by hearting them, you can refer back to them in your stuff under the favorites tab. So that's just a really handy thing to be aware of. So to filter these down, we've got 80 results. I've got some filters active on here at the moment. So you can choose the different style and also the type if you wanted, say, animated templates. But I like to go for the multiple pages just because that gives me a lot more choice with the kind of style and the layout of the pages you can choose from. So you can see this one here has got 12 different pages. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on that one. And then you can see the timeline at the bottom here has now been populated with those template slides. And if you click on the grid here, you can also view all of those pages. Now, some of these might not be very relevant. I'm not going to have one with lots of images or a quote, so I'm just going to select those ones that I don't want. I'm going to keep that one and just delete those. Now you can also move these around and reorganize them as well, but for now I'm happy with that. So we're just going to X back out of that and go to the beginning of my timeline here. Okay, so if you already have a brand set up in place, so you find your brands on the left-hand side here. It doesn't matter if you don't. I'm not going to be working from a brand today, but this is where you would find those brands, can set up a brand or access shared ones as well. If you wanted to do that, you could access things like your logos and any colors you wanted to use, any fonts. So that's just a really handy, quick way to access all of those elements as well. So just come out of that. Now the background color here, obviously you've got a very monochrome theme going on, which I do quite like. If you wanted to edit that, you could just go to the background color here and change that color however you'd like. But for now, I'm going to be sticking to black. So obviously when you've got a template to work from, you have to then just go ahead and edit the content that's already in here. So the fonts, if you want to keep those fonts, that's absolutely fine. So go in, I'm just clicked onto this title here. You can see that I've got these recommended fonts here. I do want something quite bold still. Let's go for this one here. I'm just going to extend that so that fits on the page. And this one here, let's change that to something that's readable, but a bit simple. There we go. Okay. So now I've got these fonts selected. I would like to keep that all the way throughout my slides just for consistency. So again, if I click on the next chapter title on the next slide, I can click on that and see which ones I've got in use already. And I'm going to go for that one. Okay. Now, when you're editing these slides, if you wanted to, you can remove the elements that are in here already. Let's see, I'm going to get rid of these little things at the top. I don't need any of that. I'm just clicking on the elements and removing everything. So often one thing I like to have is a slide with sort of charts, graphs, or infographics. If you wanted to go ahead and add that, you will find charts and grids on the left-hand side here. These are relatively new. I think it was last year this feature came out, and there are a lot more options available now as well. So definitely worth having a look at, but I could go ahead and add in my chart here. And we're just going to call this slide very simply chart and lift that element up there as well. Got my chart there, and I could also add in a bit of body text in here if I wanted to. And I'm just going to give that slide a title just so that when it comes to actually presenting, it's a little bit easier to keep track of which slide you're on. Again, this is very simply charts. So if I wanted to add a little bit more flair for when I am actually going to be presenting this, you might want to add in some animations or some nice transitions in between your slides. So to do that, you can see next to the timeline at the very bottom of the screen, I've got page transitions. I'm just going to click on that. And I usually go for the dissolve. It's just quite a natural one. It's not too in your face. And I'm going to apply that to all pages. Now, another thing that's very handy when you are presenting is the presenter notes as well. So let's see, I've got my charts here. And usually when you've got a chart, you don't want to fill that with loads and loads of text. So those are the ones where you might need to add some presenter notes. So if I just wanted to add for this specific slide, I'm hovering over that and I've got the 3 dots here for page actions. I click on that and then I've got my notes at the very bottom here, add notes, and I can go ahead and just type in, these are my notes. And if you're anything like me and your eyesight's really poor, you're going to need that a lot larger. So there we go, that's all sorted. Excellent, so that's how we add our presenter notes. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and add in a new page, I've filled my content in on all of these pages. I would just go to add page at the very end of my timeline here, add in a new page. You can add a template page if you wanted to, copy one that's already here to work with. However, for this scenario, I'm just going to add in a blank page and it's automatically got my background color in black, which is good. That's what I wanted. I would add in my title here, and I just want to add in an image. So you can see in the rest of these slides, we've got these sort of grayscale images. So I would like to stick with that theme. So on the left-hand side here, I'm going to the media tab. where you can access photos, videos, and audio, and also generate images like Alistair just showed you as well. For this one here, I'm very simply going to look for work. There we go. And I'm going to go for, let's see, this one here. Okay. So obviously that's a little bit large at the moment, so I'm going to have to make that a little bit bigger. And then just sort of drag that across as well. And to make that grayscale, so it's a bit more consistent with the rest of the slides, I'm still clicked onto that image currently. I go into Effects and Grayscale. I'm just going to drag that over as well. There we go. I'm happy with that. Now, if I wanted to add in a text box, just to add some body text and change the font in here. There we go. And make that a bit smaller. If I wanted to have two different columns, I could just duplicate that, add that in here. And something that I use a lot of in presentations is sort of icons and little illustrations and graphics. So again, on the left-hand side, rather than the media tab, for this, you're going to go into elements. And let's say I wanted a sort of pros and cons list, for example. I could go over to icons and let's go for a tick. Great, that icon, and that's in white, so that's perfect. I'm just going to add that to this column here. And let's see, cross, nope. X, that'll do. Okay, fab. I'm going to add that icon just above there as well. And those handy pink lines, make sure that it is a similar size to that as well. There we go. Great. Okay, fab. So that's that slide sorted as well. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and again add a little bit of flair, you could also add some animations. So perhaps your titles. I usually do one for the very beginning title. So for this example, let's go back to our beginning here. I'm just going to click back into that title there. And again, on the left-hand side, if I scroll down to animation, and one that I quite like is the typewriter, although it's a little bit slow there. So let's pull that duration back a little bit. If you want to just get a preview of what that looks like on each of your slides, you've got the little play button there as well. Now you could apply that animation to all of the elements on here if you wanted to, or you could have different ones just by clicking into that element as well. You could also set it on a loop if you wanted to, if it's a slide that you're going to be talking on for quite a while, or a loop out as well. So those are some options for you there. Now I have added an animation there, so I'm just going to go ahead and actually present that just to see what that's looking like. So if I go to the present option at the very top of my screen here, if you have got presenter notes, do make sure that you use the presenter mode as well. So hopefully you can see that now. So this is what it looks like from the presenter's perspective. And I did put some notes on one of my slides. Let's see. There we are. These are my notes. It's really handy because you've also got the time there as well, and you can set the stopwatch if you wanted to, which I find really, really handy. And you can also, which is something that I need, zoom in on those notes there as well. I'm just going to exit that slideshow. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what that looks like. And I do tend to use Express when I'm actually presenting my presentations now. It's I find that the presenter notes are really, really handy. So that's something in there you can do. Now, the imagery that we've got on the rest of the slides, just to show you a couple of other things, let's go to this slide here. This image in here, let's say, I'm just going to bring that down to size. If I wanted to just replace that image, I'd say rather than deleting and looking for a new one, you can just go to replace. And if you do that, that'll just allow you to, if you're already in photos, and you haven't got to faff around with sort of resizing any of the image dimensions then. So let's go to presentation. I quite like that one there. So you see I've clicked on that one and it's replaced it. I haven't got to mess around with any of the sizing. It's automatically kept the grayscale effect as well, which is really handy. So that is, I'm going to go ahead and keep that. And that is my presentation. Now, one final thing I will show is the media again, going back to imagery. I would like a nice cover photo. So actually, let's have a nice background. So I'm going to go back to elements. And I was on icons. I'm going to go to backgrounds instead. And I'm going to look for sort of a dark gradient, that's perfect actually. Go ahead and add that one on there. And I'm just going to reduce the opacity of that slightly as well. If you wanted to add that to all of if you do keep chapter titles, for example, so let's remove that image and I'm just going to simply copy and paste that there. If you wanted to add that background onto more, where you've also got other images currently on here as well, this is set as a background, so that automatically goes to the background. However, if you were worried about layers or wanted to layer things, then just to show you as an example, I could move my layer back just on the right hand side here. You can also, if you click on the three dots there, bring that to front, send it backwards. But for this, I'm just going to set that as the page background. And that is my presentation. So any questions from anyone? I'll just stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, I think we had one that I think we covered. Somebody had asked if we can upload our own images into the presentation. So you sort of mentioned if you go into the media and then there's a big blue button for upload from your device, and that includes images and videos and audio files as well if you have an audio file, but you can also record directly in Express from that media section. And then Nathan, you put a couple of question marks, so we just didn't want to sort of leave you hanging there. So if you do have a question, feel free to sort of put that into the chat and we'll try and cover it for you. Or if you just got a bit lost and you wanted us to sort of cover something again, then again, let us know and we can do that for you.
Great, thanks Louise, I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So yes, so thanks Catherine. So today is just about a whistle-stop tour of Express, and my whistle-stop tour is around the video options. So let me share my screen as well, and we will bring that in. Oh, sorry, I'm going to stop sharing that screen. Excuse me, I'm going to just share my other screen. And then you don't have to see all of my windows. So like my colleagues have done, we're just covering very basic different options that you can do. And Alistair covered one of our biggest ones, which is the Gen AI tool within Express. Catherine covered our other bigger one, which is looking at presentations. And when Alistair was in editing and creating his image, he was in what we call our image editing screen, and all of the options and editing buttons are part of that one. Catherine showed you the presentation editor, so that had the timeline at the bottom and you've seen all the different notes. You'll notice if you've been following closely, I'm now going to show you a different type of editor, which is for the video editing. Now there is another one which we're not covering today, which looks at web pages, and we'll be covering that in a future session. So we did put the link in there for the future webinar series, so please sign up for a future one if you're interested to understand more about how you create that web page element in Express, but we're not going to cover that today. So the three main ones we've covered is imagery, editing, presentation, editing and creation, and now I'm going to show you video. So from the home page here, again, there's different ways and different paths to get into what you want to do. Always, if you're unsure, the top left here, this blue plus sign, will always bring you into open this new window, which you can then from the left hand side choose whether you want to create something or go into the quick actions to do something quickly. and I'll talk through those in just a moment. I'm just going to exit out of this window and back to the home page. So again, plus sign. As Catherine and Alistair have shown, there's these boxes at the top, so I can start with my own content, can bring in PDFs, PowerPoints, Photoshop files, InDesign files, Illustrator files, and lots of others. I can generate from AI, so whether that be an image or a template. I can have a look at other quick actions, or I can start with something like Catherine showed you, start with a template instead of a blank screen. There's also all of these along here, which Alistair pointed out, and I'm just going to, for my section of today, I'm going to click on the video option here, because within Express there's lots and lots of video editing tools that are available. You can do the normal stuff you would expect. You can take a video that you've shot on your phone and bring it in to Express and then start editing that video. You can trim that video down, you can resize that video, you can merge that video with others. So if you've shot multiple videos on your phone, you can bring them all in and then on a timeline, put one on the other, on the other, on the other, and then move them around if that's what you want to do as well. You can crop that video. So if you have a video and you want to put another video on top of that video, you can crop the one so that it sits nice within itself. So all of these things are easily done within Express. And I always like to think that, and I do know this from experience, you know, I've done video editing in the past, and it's always been, there's a big learning curve. You've had to learn a lot of different parts of a tool to be able to do the basic thing. Express just eliminates all of that for you and allows you to do really good video editing with in a very short time frame. The other video option you've got down here, if I just show you, is this convert to GIF. So again, if you have a short video and you want to take a section out of that video and just create it as a GIF, you can do that as well. We have a few colleagues in Adobe that often quite like sending out GIFs that they've created. But again, it could be that you are setting a task for your students. You maybe want to just do this as an icebreaker for them. And you say, go and create a fun GIF that's, you know, based on sustainability or the environment or around the campus or whatever it is. The other, and if I just scroll along, the other video option here, which I'm going to focus on a little bit today, is the animate character. But I'll come back to that one, and I'll just show you the last two options in the video section here is the convert to MP4. So again, you can take something and make it an MP4. And then you can also caption the video. So this is super helpful. I know we've potentially got some colleagues on the phone today that are you know, from a different country or speak a different language. You can bring your video in, caption it, and then translate those captions as well. So it can be English spoken and then maybe have French or German, Spanish captions showing as well. So that's a really, really good feature if you want to use that. If I just scroll down, you'll see that just as Catherine showed you earlier, you don't have to start from nothing. You can start from a template. So again, these are all some popular template sizes. So an Instagram reel or a TikTok video or a story. And then there's also these featured video templates as well. So just like the presentation template that Catherine showed you, you can start from a video template and then take all of those elements and start to move them and switch them around. And all of those are editable just in the same way. And then again, we also have stock videos that are free to use. So if you want to bring in a stock footage and trim those videos and put different stock footage to create a whole ad campaign or whatever type of video you want to do, then you do have access to the Adobe stock videos from within Express as well. So there's lots and lots of different options just by going into the video tab here and having a quick look at these. But today what I wanted to just spend probably the next 10 minutes, and honestly it will only take you 10 minutes to learn how to do this, and it's super cool, is I just wanted to focus in on the animate character option. Now, if you are interested in how to build a video and do a bit of a deeper dive on how to edit videos, I'm going to be running a session, I think it's on February the 4th, that just purely focuses on video in a lot more detail. So check out the link that we shared already and please sign up for the future session. And I think, again, we've got future sessions that really hone in on Gen AI, some of the topic that Alistair covered, and really focus on presentations and graphics, which is what Catherine covered as well. But for today, I wanted to show you this animate character. Now, in true fashion, I did prepare something earlier, so I'm just going to bring that over to let you see. Now, this is a video that I done earlier using the character animate, and it probably took me, I want to say, 10 minutes. And that was mostly just thinking about what I was going to say to put this together. But I've seen this being used for how I've done my example. So it might be like a course introduction. Maybe you're providing a video to your class and you want to explain, your learning outcomes or what they can expect. Or maybe it's a task that you want to set your students, that you want them to introduce themselves. And using a character might allow them to do that and be a little bit better for potentially people who don't want to be on camera or don't feel comfortable being on camera. Or it could be that you're a student and you have to do a presentation and you think, well, I'm gonna be a character to do this. So there's a whole host of different reasons that you might do this. But I wanted to just play this. It's only 26 seconds. And allow you just to see how easy it is, and then I'll show you how I actually created this. So hopefully the audio will come through as well, and if it doesn't, perhaps Catherine and Alistair, you can give me a nod and I'll sort that out very quickly.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this introduction on video animation. I'm your host and I'll guide you as we dive into the exciting world of creating animated videos. Whether you're here because you love drawing, storytelling, or simply curious about how animation comes to life, you're in the right place. Before we jump in, let me give you a quick overview of what this course is all about.
Okay, so it's very, very short. And as I said, I put this together relatively quickly. And let me show you how I done that. And please, if you are able to follow along, then do so. So I'm just going to come out of there. That was just an MP4, so I downloaded that out of Express. But let me show you how I've done it. So if you are following along from your homepage, you're going to click on the video here. And as I said, there's multiple ways to get into this. So if you've gone a different path, that's absolutely fine. We'll all end up in the same place. And you can then click on Animate Characters. And when you click on that, it will open up this new dialog box and allow you to then start to choose your character. Now, the first question I always get asked when we do this is, can I upload my own character? And the answer at the moment is not yet. So I know that there's a huge desire for people who are illustrators to create their characters, upload them. It's not available at the moment. We only have the characters that are there. But I think we'll all agree there are a host of different types of characters that you can see here. There's cartoon, anime type characters. There's animals. There are different types of monsters here. So this is the Virgo one that I had used. There's love hearts, toadstools, mushrooms, all different things. There's lips if you wanted to have a moving mouth. There's then different types of other characters, and I'm just scrolling down. Hopefully, if you're following along, you can go down and see some of those. There's rainbows, sunshines, snowmen, and all sorts. So once you've chose your character, whichever character that you want to choose, you can then resize that character. So again, just by doing a simple sort of drag and drop, you can resize that character. Your next tab here is your background. So you can customize the color of the background. So if I wanted to put them onto a just a block color background, I can do that. If I wanted to potentially just have the character, so I don't actually want any of the background because I'm going to take the character and put them somewhere else, and that's how we end up layering the video, I can just do that transparent background. Or I can choose a background that's there. Again, there's lots and lots of different types of backgrounds, depending on the scene that you want to place your character in. You can put them wherever you want to put them. And again, it's entirely up to you which scene you want to choose or how you want to do that. I'm just going to scroll down, and I think it chose that one. It's part of your video, and you can size your person and put them wherever you want them to be. Now you'll see down here, it says gives you the file types that are here, and also tells you that you can record a maximum of 2 minutes with 1 gigabyte maximum per upload. So again, it doesn't mean that you're limited to that. You can record 2 minutes and then have a pause and then record another 2 minutes, have a pause, and then take all those downloaded MP4s and then upload them into a new scene. So you can do it that way, but in terms of 1 block of recording, 2 minutes is a maximum. And personally, I think that's actually, it's a good way of working, because you don't really want to record something that's too long. You want to do it in short bursts and then refresh that. So you can record here. Now I'm just going to refer you to where it says enhanced speech here. So this is a feature that we've taken over from another one of our products, Adobe Podcast. But what this does is essentially enhances our speech and takes out any background noise. And what it also does is it takes out any of the echoey aspect of the audio when you're recording it. So it really makes it sound like you're in a studio or you have a studio mic, but you can actually record this through your laptop. So I always enhance my speech. I don't know why you wouldn't, but there might be a reason why you don't want to. It might be that you're recording a character and you want it to sound like that. But generally, I would always enhance my speech there. So we can either record our audio directly within the animate character feature. You can see we can browse and upload an audio file if we wanted to do that as well. So there's options there. Then our final tab, and sorry, I've come from this section here and I've moved back up to here. Our final tab here is the size. And again, you can resize this after you've done it. So don't feel that you have to make a decision now. If you think, I don't know if I want to put this on YouTube or if I want to put it as a square, you can resize it afterwards. And a little bit like what Alistair showed you, it will fill the gaps as well. But if you wanted to choose that now, let's say, for example, you wanted something for LinkedIn, it will just drop that down and all of those options for you, or you can just customize the size as well. So whichever you want to do, I'm just going to keep it as a square. So once you've chose what you want to, your character, your background, your size, nice and easy, nice and simple, you simply hit the record button. It counts you down from 3, 2, 1, and then you speak. And that's it. You speak, you say what you want to say, and then you click on stop recording. Then what will happen is a little bit of Adobe magic. It will then go and analyze your speech. And based on your inflection in your voice, where you go up, where you go down, how you speak, a little bit about what you say, it will then animate the character based on that audio file. So it'll move the arms, it'll move the eyebrows or the eyes, the mouth, and it will tie that in. And just like I showed you on the video that I'd done earlier, essentially that's what it done for my character. So when I was, and I'll just turn my volume down so I can play it as I speak. So when I was speaking, you can see the eyebrows are moving, the eyes are moving, the hand gestures, it's moving my body a little bit. It does that all automatically based on what you're saying. So I'm going to, I know we're short on time, but I'm just going to stop speaking for just like a minute or maybe 30 seconds. And I'm just going to stop so that you have an option to hit record and say something really quickly so that you can see it, analyze it. So I'm just going to stop speaking for the next 30 seconds. Okay, hopefully that gave you enough chance to record something and that you didn't get my my voice at the back end of your video. But once you've hit record, you'll see that what happens is it counts you down. We can hit record and then we just click done. And what happens over here then is it just starts to animate that for you. Now, depending, of course, on the length of the audio that you recorded, it might take a little bit of time. So if you've done in the future, if you do like a full 2 minutes, it might just take a little bit of time to analyze that, but you can just let that run in the background and the Adobe magic will happen. This one will probably be quite quick because I recorded like a word, and you'll see that what happens next is it gives you the track here, which you can listen back to and see how it goes. You can then download this, so you can download it directly as an MP4, and then have it as your downloads, and you can then re-input it into Express in a as part of another video, or however you want to use it. Or if you want to just go ahead and open in the editor, you can open it in the editor and then start making edits to it straight away. So if I click on open in the editor, this then opens it in this now third type of editor you'll have seen today. So as I mentioned, Alistair showed you a kind of graphic editor. Catherine showed you the presentation one, which had the presentation slides at the bottom. You'll see that this video one has the video timeline at the bottom. So we're in a video editor at the moment. So you'll see it's got my layers. I can show my layers, and then I can start to build out different aspects of my video. Now, I'm sharing this on my laptop, so it's a little bit smaller. So that's why it's kind of gone down here. On a bigger screen, it works better. But you've got lots of options here, and I know we're almost at time, so I don't want to go into too many of the options, but I'm just going to exit out of here for now. Just like Alistair and Catherine showed you, down the left-hand side here, this is where we can start to add in all of the different elements that we want to add in if we want to do that. So this is essentially just a video layer. It's just a layer in on my screen here. And I can add in text over the top of it if I wanted to do that. Now, again, I've got lots of different styles if I wanted to do that, if I don't want to have to think about it. I can just add that in here. And then I can start to make edits to that text file from here. Alternatively, I can just add in a simple text box. So if I click text, and then I can, insert my name, and that might be my lower thirds animation tutor, let's say. That could be my lower thirds or my title, and I can, put that somewhere. As again, when Alistair showed you, you can take the recommendations of the different types of text, or you can use your drop down here and choose a different type of text, because at the moment I'm in this text editor section. If I X out of there to get back into that, it's nice and easy. I just click on the text again, and then it takes me back into here. And like Catherine showed you, you can actually add animation on top of the video. And that's what we mean by this layering effect. We can add in shadows, or we can generate text effects. So again, going back to Alistair's GenAI, we can generate text effects here. Now you'll see that on my timeline, just at the bottom here, this has now come in as a layer. So at the moment it's playing, we can hit through the whole video. But if I wanted to change the timing of when that comes in, simple, I can just drag that so that it doesn't come in straight away and it comes in. We can later on in the video. So we can adjust and move these layers around based on what we wanted to do. And again, I'm just going to crazily add in, you know, an element here just to show you another layer, and just to show you that that then comes in itself as another layer. So you'll see here it's here, and again I can just drag that and have that come in at a separate time. And hopefully you guys can see these blue dots. So this is just telling me, it's indicating where there's another layer in my video. So depending on how many layers you have in and how many elements you've got coming in, going out, you might have multiple of these dots across your timeline. But all you have to do is just click on the actual element within the editor, and then that layer will come up so you can adjust the time and the length of that as well. So with the interest of time, I mean, I could go in and dive real deep into this, but we really don't have the time today. And all we wanted to show you is real quickly how you could use Character Animate to create something, create a video, and then just using all of the different options that we showed you. So it's all the same, like, you know, accessing media, accessing elements. You can then start to layer over the top, whether that be a graphic, so a Gen AI graphic that you've generated, or an image that you've brought in, or whether that be a presentation that you're creating and you can start to bring your elements in and edit from the template, or whether it be a video, and whether that video is created through Animator, or the video's been brought in from your device, or whether the video's been taken from Adobe Stock. You've got so many different options and so many different features for you to then start to build out your story and your, you know, what your project and what you want to accomplish. So in the interest of time, I will pause and stop sharing and check to see if there are any questions that have come up on the chat at all.
Yeah, there was just one question about copyright. Again, I think we've answered it, Louise. Yeah. But if you're creating something with the character animator, are there any copyright issues to, say, putting it on YouTube or something like that?
Yep, no, there's nothing there. Of course, it depends on the you know, what you say on it. Needs to make sure that it's appropriate for what you want to send on YouTube. But yeah, there's no that you're free to use or share without any restrictions on that Character Animate. Any other questions or comments?
That was it. Listen, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Again, we will be uploading the recording to YouTube, and we'll be making that available over the next few days. Do join us for some of the sessions that we've got coming up. The next one is on Gen AI, but we're going to be covering videos, presentations, PDFs, lots and lots of content in a lot more detail, which I think is going to be super useful for you. So do register for some of the other sessions. You're very welcome to do that. Do let your colleagues know as well, your fellow students and staff know all about it. Professional services as well, very welcome to join. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. We've dropped in some information there about our digital badging schemes and about our Creative Campus newsletter. So have a look at those links. I think there's some really useful stuff in there that you'll find really helpful. And if that is all from today, I'll say thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you at the next session.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks all.